Welcome to West USA Weekly, the podcast, your go-to source for everything real estate in Phoenix, Arizona. We're breaking down market trends, local insights, and the moves that matter most to Valley agents. Interviews, tips, and the latest from one of Arizona's top brokerages, all in one place. Let's dive in.
It's like Where's Waldo, but with the camera. Every Monday, Kendall puts the camera somewhere, and we've got to find it. So anyways, welcome to another edition of our Monday morning podcast. Appreciate everybody joining us today. We got a lot to get into today, so let's start. Of course, we're going to have Todd's look at the numbers. We've got Justin Frederick here to give us a mortgage a minute. I'm going to share 3 tips when someone asks you if this is a good time to buy or sell.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
And then American Title's Leslie Del Maestro is going to stop by to discuss common mistakes made before, during, and after the close of escrow. I'm always excited to hear from her because she used to be with West USA. She used to be a top producing agent, and then she went to the dark side.
Well, that's the secret. Everybody has to realize she didn't leave because she wasn't a top producer. She left because her passion was in social media.
No, there you go. Well, we'll find out what she's got to say. And as always, if you've got any comments or questions, please feel free to email us at podcast@westusa.com. A couple announcements to jump into. It is right around the corner, June 20th. Is that this Saturday?
Yeah.
This Saturday. All right. Carlos Acero's golf tournament, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be in town, but I wanted to go. But anyways, it's still not too late to sign up. I attended, I think, last year. It's just a great golf outing, great opportunity to take some clients out, golf, and give back to our local community. So if you want to get signed up, reach out to Carlos Aceros. And then we have our big Buckwise event coming up Tuesday, June 23rd. Is that tomorrow?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. I was out of town all weekend, so I don't even know what month this is.
It's okay.
Is it June?
I got you.
All
Yeah.
you need to know right now is it's Monday. And you're
Monday?
good.
Okay. That's all I need to know. Well, how to build a social media strategy and curating a personal brand. Buckwise is one of the nation's thought leaders on this topic. So you do want to get signed up. Seating is limited. And then, Nick, we're heading up to Pine Top, my neck of the woods. No pun intended.
Haha. Yeah, we are. On July 24th, we're going up to Pine Top to celebrate. We've had a lot of people who were bummed. They weren't able to make to the Canberra event that we did about a week or 2 ago. That was a good time. July 24th event has openings right now, and we have a block of rooms. So make a weekend of it. Go to scan that QR code, or you can go to westusa40.com to get more information.
All right, looking forward to it. All right, Todd, what's going on in the market?
Oh, there's some real good stuff happening.
Good.
So let's get
About
right
time.
to it.
About
time.
yeah.
I know, right? Thanks for joining us, everybody. Today we're going over the Greater Phoenix Metropolitan Market Statistics for the week ending June 15th. And here we go. 78 days closed on market this past week, a 4.17 months supply. Absorption rate was at 24%. Average list price this past week, $759,113. Average sale price this past week, $622,294. And our list price to sale price retention came in at 97.15. Active inventory up just slightly, but this is a couple of weeks in a row. 25,696 available properties. Pending are sitting at 4,282, and closed units month to date at 2,878. New listings taken this past week over 2,000, so it was up 2.5%, 2,014 total. Days on market for active at 92 and for closed at 78. Lower left-hand side, price ranges of active inventory. Last week we did the month-end market stats. We posted it on the dashboard, and also this section was the closed inventory. So when we do the month-end, we do the closed, and when we do weekly, we do the active inventory. So you can see the ones that contracted just a little bit in the marketplace. So properties that are under 600,000 represent 66.74% of the entire MLS. 600 to a million at 19.53, and a million and up at 13.4. So taking a look at the spreadsheet, this is where we're going to see some things this week which are good, and then I'm going to give you a little AI tip at the end. But new listings taken 2014, I'm calling out right now the 2 columns in the center, because the reality is, week over week, we see it go up, then we see it go down, and we're kind of like, okay, up, down, up, down. Well, what's that really mean? And then we look in the center columns, which is last year's production and the year before's production for that same exact week, and all of a sudden there's a new clue. So 1915 1853 a year ago, 1844 the year before that, but we're at 2014. So we're steadily 3.12% ahead of the market as it relates to adding new inventory. Looking at active week over week, we're at 25,696. We were at 26,645. So we have a little bit less inventory than we had last year, same period. 510 of those are in the coming soon category, 19,403 in the single family non-distressed. We're looking at 2,217 currently new builds in the MLS, 25,139 non-distressed properties. Looking at pending, 4282. We look at this again as the willingness for buyers to enter the market. And again, versus last year, this is the first repetitious cycle that I've seen where last year or the year before wasn't significantly higher. So just to the point, slide your eyes to the right over to the blue in the very first blue column. You'll see last year in the month of May, we were at 6,681 buyers in the marketplace. To the left of that, last month, we were at 5,034. So I'm not disappointed with the 4282 that we're just reporting this week. I'm asking you to look at the two columns in the middle because this was that month that slowed the market down. And we all were wondering whether last year was going to, end up being a year that we were going to be able to make money or not. Looking at closed inventory, 2878 for the month. Again, way early in the month to tell. But again, it's ahead. And if you slide your eyes again to the right and you're looking in the blue columns month over month and year over year, you're seeing that there's green. And so for the last 4 months in a row, we've done better in closings than we did last year. So we're totally up about a 3.85% year over year. Looking at month's supply, Mike and my favorite topic because we banter back and forth. Oh, it's a seller's market. Oh, it's a buyer's market. And I think last week I probably gave the best comment for this field that I could, which is if you're representing a buyer, it's always going to be a buyer's market for you. I mean, you're going to approach it as though it's a buyer's market. If it's a seller's market, obviously, then if you're a listing agent, you're going to do the same. But when you're in a competing market, meaning a market that isn't good for the client that you represent, these are important numbers because this is how you understand how to move the other side of the negotiating table. And if you can't do that, then maybe pop in and go to Mike or go to a class on negotiating because it's really important.
Don't volunteer me.
Yeah, well, I always do. You're the next best thing, Mike. So anyway, 465 is the median price, 460. Again, we look at that just to see if the prices are taking off, and it's a real easy number to kind of look at relatively quickly. That's best for a month-end number in many cases. But also remember all of these statistics, and I should change that. It says statistics week over week. These statistics now are month to date. I told you guys that about a month and a half ago. I kind of switched it up a little bit because I thought it was more important to show how we're tracking, and that way you guys will be able to see which week of the month is always the month that seems to get more sales than the week prior. But again, the market is sitting pretty steady at 75 to 78. Excuse me, I apologize. And the list price to sale price retention came in at 97.5, which is a little less, but again, sliding your eyes to the right, you'll just see in the colored columns that, the seller's been averaging 97.2. Way over on the left, I should go back. Way over on the left, wow, tickle in my throat. We're at 97.8 is the 5-year rule of thumb historical average. That's what those are on the left-hand side. But I want to leave you with this. So I took this slide this morning and I dumped it into ChatGPT and I put this prompt in. And it's not that this is the best prompt ever. It was just the one I came up with at the time I entered the slide in. And the information that came back was exactly, in my personal opinion, what you need to know about these slides to be able to present them to your client. It talks about national, the Lawrence Young's perspective or the national news perspective, but how Arizona market is totally different. And this is really huge, you guys, because sometimes we feel a little bit uncomfortable in trying to be opposite or be different than what those national statistics are because they're national economic leaders, right? But I'm telling you, please do that. Take not the whole slide deck. Just take that. Take a picture of the main sheet, not even the Well, it'd probably be better if you did the spreadsheet. Put it into ChatGPT or Claude, wherever you're using, and then dump this prompt in there. I think you're going to be exceptionally happy with what you see. So.
Yeah, I did the same prompt, but I replaced Yun's name with Justin's, and it said truly a buyer's market. So, yeah. All right, so before we get going, go ahead and hit the next slide. So Nick reached out to me on Friday when I was on my anniversary trip up in Sedona, so I appreciate that.
I did at 8:30 in the morning, too.
Yeah.
Well, nothing's going on that early in the morning, right?
Boy.
I was out there on the deck with my Blackstone. But anyways, we wanted to talk about some cybersecurity, and I know, Justin, you're going to talk about some cybersecurity. So, like, everybody's got a cybersecurity T-shirt in their closet, so I broke mine out for this weekend for the occasion.
Yeah,
so
I guess
happy
I left mine at
cyber
home.
security day.
Thanks, buddy. So this is something that I'm talking about in the offices at a little bit bigger depth, more detail. But I wanted to take a few minutes on the podcast and just touch on it. We're getting a lot of agents that are being hit right now, especially inside of West USA. So we want to just get the word out as much as we possibly can. And so as you're having conversations with your peers out in the industry, cross-sell agents, etc., pass the word. This is something that's not getting out fast enough, and so we want to make sure that everyone in our industry is protected from these scams. So on the screen in front of you is some general information, some red flags that we're seeing, and some new scams that are running. The really important stuff that I want to highlight before I get into it is AAR's helpline. So AAR, through your member benefit, if you are a realtor and a member of AAR, you have for no additional cost access to AAR, and they are going to provide you technical support on your specific devices, your laptops, your phones, etc. So a couple of really quick scams that we're seeing that I want to touch on, and like I said, I'll be in the offices this week again. If you want more details, come on by or feel free to reach out and ask questions. You pick up a listing. It's a newer listing. It's on the market for 2-3-ish days. There's two different versions of this. One is, I just saw your listing on Compass's website. I'd like to get more information for a potential client. Can I, either it's an agent reaching out or it's a potential buyer reaching out, wanting to set up a call via Zoom. So I want to just kind of go 30,000-foot view with this. We talked about WhatsApp for a long time being a scammer's paradise, somewhere that if someone reaches out and says, we want to use WhatsApp, don't do it. I want to walk that back a little bit. We are, especially in the North Phoenix area with the chip plant, having a lot of individuals from overseas moving to Phoenix. They're going to use WhatsApp. That's the app that they're utilizing. So what I want to say is, no matter the, let's say, modality of communication the individual wants to use, whether it be Teams, Zoom, or WhatsApp, if they send you the link, that's fine. You're not going to click on it. You're going to respond with your own link. The point being, you control the conversation and where the link is being directed. If someone sends you a Zoom link, great. Here's my Zoom link. I'm going to use mine because I know that it's going to the right place. And of course, you don't need to say that. You can just say, here's my Zoom link. We can connect when you're available or at this scheduled time. You can use WhatsApp, Teams, Zoom, whatever it is, as long as you are creating the account and you are sharing the link. If they push back at you at all, oh, I can't use yours, don't even play with them. The other one that's running right now is a little more intricate, and it's pretty rough. So they're using public information, and they're saying, hey, Justin and I did a deal together 5 or 6 years ago. I'm getting an email from someone named Todd. Todd says, hey, Nick, you worked with a neighbor of mine, Justin. I tried to sell my home on my own. Didn't have a great experience with it. Justin said, you're an amazing real estate agent. Can you give me a hand? Of course, Todd, what can I do for you? Well, like I said, tried to sell at my house, so I put together kind of a quick package. Would you take a look at it and let me know kind of what you think about my house? So as the agent, excited to get a warm referral from a good client, I click on the PDF document, and I've now downloaded malware onto my computer. So I am now at the behest of this scammer, and they can control and see everything that's happening on my device. So both of those scenarios, the individuals are no longer just trying to get passwords. They're trying to take over your device. Exactly. If you feel that you have been compromised in the past, if you click on any links, download any PDFs, the information on the screen is what we want you to utilize, that techhelpline.com or that phone number. If you, in the next day, week, month, year, get into a situation where you click on something and you feel like it was something that could download a virus onto your computer, the first thing you're going to do is disconnect the device from the internet. If they don't have a direct internet line to your computer, they can't access it, they can't pull passwords, and they can't watch where your clicks and mouse is going. Shutting the laptop does not fix the issue. Turning the laptop off, acting like nothing happened, you're just setting yourself up for failure down the road. Disconnect it from the internet, call AAR's tech line, get them to help do a malware scan with you. They can help deal with whatever potentially may have happened to your computer. So like I said, I didn't want to take too much time today. I'll be whatever the Western State calendar. I don't know honestly what offices I'm at. My phone just dings and says go to this office today. So go to the calendar. If you want more information, have a conversation. We'll be getting into a lot more detail on this throughout the week.
Awesome.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right, so rates this week, we saw rates kind of go down this last week. We actually had a reprice for the better on Friday, which is something that we haven't seen for a little while. So that was wonderful. This morning rates are slightly better. So let's hope we're starting a new trend here, okay? But yeah, actually the 30-year fix, I would say it's more in the 6.375 to 6.49 area as of this morning. These slides were created as of Friday, and that was for the conventional loan. FHA is running right there about 6.14, and the VA, I would say it's more in the 5.99 range as of this morning. So we're off to a good start this Monday, and I like that. All right, so on the same note, we kind of go through these trends of cybersecurity. So I'm just going to talk a little bit more about it. And I know we've talked about the app before in the past, but I still feel like agents want that borrower to send stuff directly to us. I just need your guys' help. Even whether you're using me or any other lender, typically lenders are going to all have the same portal. So let's talk about why that makes things work better. I mean, financial documents, IDs, verifications. A lot of times, Social Security numbers are on there. The secured portal, you upload those. Nobody's going to be able to get into it. Nobody's going to be able to interrupt it. Our IT department's looking at it all the time. No need to text sensitive information. We have that a lot when we're doing applications on the phone. People don't want to say their information on the phone, but they'll shoot a text with their full Social Security and date of birth. Meanwhile, it's on my phone, right? Exactly, it's on your phone unless you delete it, but there's always a way to pull that text information, safely upload documents securely through that portal. Love the portals. It's very easy to use. Secure communication keeps the buyer safe during the process. Fraud awareness checkpoints throughout the process. Now, if you have a client that needs to send things by email, they can't figure out the portal, we have ways to send a secure link, an email, but they have to reply to that email. So just letting you know, this is another option other than the portal. I would say 99% of lenders have this as well. Make sure that they're replying to all on those emails so that their documents are secured. We're just really trying to secure or protect people's identities with all this. We work hard to ensure buyers know that they are communicating with the right people. So that's another note. A lot of times when we start transactions, the credit bureaus will sell people's information. It's called trigger leads. So you'll get...
I thought that was coming to an end.
It was supposed to come to an end last month.
Yeah, and then
somehow I don't know what the reality of it is, but these trigger leads are still happening.
Yeah.
And they're calling saying, "Hey, I work with Fairway Mortgage." So they're trying to get them to put in a whole new application, send in documentation, call the person that you're working with already, verify that the people that they're talking to already work with us. Have your clients be aware of that. Wire fraud awareness. We always do this. We have clients who are like, how much money do we need to send to closing? We try to avoid that question as the lender, but we'll say, you're going to get wire instructions from the title company. Make sure you call your escrow officer or the company that you're dealing with. Verify the account number and the routing number, and make sure everything's on par. Even though you got it by email, it's not always good. Sometimes they can intercept that email and send out a new one. So never trust last-minute changes. Ask questions if something feels off. Confirm through a trusted phone number. That's what I got. I mean, I feel like that's simple, but I feel like that's something that's needs to be known, you know?
It's simple, but people are going so fast with these transactions, we're not thinking about it, so they just
especially at the end of the process, right?
Well, I just think for me, it's the conversation that we need to have with our clients. Like, you know, I mean, I'm very clear with my clients to verify the routing instructions or the wiring. Well, now we're actually getting wiring instructions, but I always tell them to call the escrow officer, verify it. And if something doesn't seem right or something seems off, let me know, and I'll reach out to either the escrow officer or I'll reach out to Justin and just verify, you know.
And in a lot of these cases now, title companies are really wanting to see the certified checks rather than the wires now, just to protect everybody. It costs a little money to get that certified check, but sometimes it costs money to get a wire too. So maybe something you want to get in advance.
So it's a lot less than getting scammed.
100%. And what I would say to people, if you want to get a certified check, go a little bit higher on the cash to close. Like, let's say that your cash to close is $95,500. Write it for $96,000 when you're turning it into the title company. Once the transaction's closed, it's just like buying anything from the store. They're going to give you the change along with a receipt, your settlement statement. So that's the easiest way to be conservative and get it done in advance without having to wait for the exact dollar amount.
All right, appreciate it, Justin.
Yeah,
good
thanks,
stuff. All right. So moving along on our 3-pack. So a couple of the common questions that we get is, Mike, how's the market? You know, and my response is always, well, the market's awesome. Really? I go, yeah, it just depends on who you are. Or we get, is this a good time to buy or sell? And so I wanted to kind of walk through how to respond to these questions when people ask you if this is a good time to buy or sell. So number one, the answer is always yes. It's always yes. Your answer should always be yes. You don't know why somebody is asking that question. You don't necessarily know what their motives are. And really, in essence, it could be the best possible market for their unique needs. So before you go answer anything else, find out what their motives are. Always say yes.
Yeah, well, that'll keep the ball rolling anyway, and it doesn't immediately turn them off. The only thing you have to be careful of with yes is don't make yes come across as though you're trying to sell them on yes. Have yes just be, you know, I like
last time I looked at my real estate license, it said salesperson.
Well, you know, but here's the thing. The fact is we all see sales presentations coming a million miles away, especially if you're a salesperson. So, but it's just one of those things. Be sincere, I guess, is my point. And that's the reason why I talked to you about the AI thing in today's thing, because AI, when you read that, you're going to see that Arizona is in a super place, and it breaks down every single number that I had on that spreadsheet.
Well, saying no is assuming, like you said, Mike, their situation is what's consistent with the national averages happening right now. And as Todd pointed out, Arizona is different than national averages. So when someone's having a conversation with you about buying or selling, you need to ask questions. You need to be interested and curious, not judgmental and making an assumption. And so answering that as a hard yes or no, in my opinion, is never a good idea. Yes keeps the conversation going. It's the old improv trick. If you're having a conversation with someone, if you say yes, you keep the conversation going. Right. As soon as you say no, it's awkward, uncomfortable, and then we have to move on.
Yeah, okay, but in fairness,
you're always going to say yes.
If you ask me that question, I say yes. My next action is not sticking a listing agreement in front of you or a buyer broker agreement in front of you. I'm just trying to create some dialogue
I'm
here.
going to go back to I'm going to go back to a 3-pack from probably, I don't know, a year ago almost. But Mike, you said that we were talking about the questions to ask when you sit down with your seller or your buyer, and I think that's really, you used one, and here's what you said. In paraphrase, and hopefully it's in context. You said that when somebody asks you this question, you turned it around and said, well, what are your concerns?
Yeah.
And then from that particular point, they said interest rates. And so then you said, in that little volley we had, you said, well, what do you know, at what rate would you do business today? You know, and then you worked into it that way, but you got them to tell you what that real deep problem was, not the superficial one like yes.
Well, yeah. And I think my point was if rates are holding you back and you go, I'm not going to enter the game until I can get a 5.75, well, I'll say, well, let's get the seller to buy down the rate. So let's see what's out there. So so you lose if your answer is anything but yes. If your answer, if you answer just no, right off the bat or not really. The lead is dead on arrival. The conversation is dead on arrival. You will turn them off right away before you even know anything. You won't ever know anything about them until you dig deeper. And this is the point. At the end of the day, for some people, it may be a terrible time to buy, or it might be a terrible time to sell for them. But just answering no before you know their unique situation, you now have just lost that ability to help somebody in their next real estate transaction.
Totally. You know, I mean, it's almost like if you said no, you need to find another career. You know, because I don't want to be, you know,
If I walk into a car lot, hey, you guys got good deals on cars? Nope.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm out.
Yeah. So, but again, I think the conversation, not what's on the board, but what we're talking about is the most important part, because it's that series of questions. It's that series of further interactions. And I will just tell you this, Sales Training 101 says no matter that whenever somebody asks you a question, you have to go back and ask a deeper question 3 times. It's something to do with the magic of 3. But if you do that, they'll tell you on that third one what their real deep issue typically is. The first ones are either they've heard a narrative and they're using it, or they've been told no in the past and they don't realize that today they do qualify, or it's that, you know, they just are ready to do business, but they need somebody who's equally as willing to help them through that process.
Well, that's good to know, Nick, because I've only asked you about your childhood twice, so now this will be the 3rd time, and maybe we can get to the root of the issues.
I was not born at the North Pole.
Thanks, Todd. So, I mean, as you get more confident in the real estate market, as you get more confident in your business, you're going to be able to answer these questions with the response back. You're answering a question with a question, honestly. Correct. A lot of these individuals that are having conversations have probably had a conversation with someone else who told them this is a terrible market. It's not a good time to buy. You're putting yourself in jeopardy. Rates are too high. They don't necessarily understand your situation. So you are, in a book that I'm listening to now, in a segment we're going to do here in a couple weeks, is subordinating your ego. You're putting your ego aside and you're asking the questions of the person that's in front of you, trying to better understand their situation, so you can actually answer this question correctly. But again, as we already said, saying no just cuts off the conversation immediately.
All right, don't let your personal feelings sway someone. Yep. Your opinion or your perception of the market does not really matter. No one really cares whether you would buy or sell in this market. And so if you have that vibe that this is not a good time, then they will feel that vibe. And again, the ultimate goal from this question is a deeper real estate conversation. That's what this is an opportunity for. I want to have a deeper real estate conversation with you. If I tell you the market's terrible, I'm not going to have a deeper real estate conversation. Is this a good time to sell? Maybe, maybe not. Really depends on who you are. But you know what? If you're relocating and you got to sell your house in 30 days, you know what? This is a great market to sell, right? If you don't have to sell, it may not. Right. And so this is your opportunity for a deeper real estate conversation. So we have a saying on our team, and we preach it to our team all the time, because your personal feelings about the market really don't matter. Totally. Money never disappears. It just moves. Opportunities are always there. And you have to have that deeper conversation to determine what opportunity is going to best fit that specific person that you're talking with.
You know, in the old days, we used to call it timing. And the whole situation was, again, to some, if somebody can afford to go to wherever they're being relocated to, not sell the house here, maybe the best thing for them to do is rent it out, or at least initially, who knows? But a lot of times, or most of the time, they'll see it written all over your face. If you don't think it's a good market, you're not going to be responding with the same charisma and the same approach that you would be if you truly felt. And so, again, all I'm saying is I love the question, what are you trying to accomplish and what time frame are you trying to accomplish it in? And then let's have a conversation.
Yeah, Nick, and at the end of the day, I've sat with sellers, and after we've gone through this, and I'll tell them it's not really a good time for you to sell. but I don't want to just say no without having that conversation.
Well, and you do become the trusted resource if you are the one that tells them that maybe now is not the best time to do X, Y, and Z. But again, having the conversation.
All righty. Well, enough of that.
Yeah.
Let's get that over with. Now let's have some fun. All right. We are excited to have Leslie Del Maestro from American Title. Leslie, welcome to the big show. As we started off, what a lot of people don't understand is you've spent many years here as an agent at West USA. And I remember back in my days when we were doing top producer mastermind groups and so forth, you were part of them because you were a top producer. And I don't know, I feel like it's a little bit different taking advice from a title rep who was a top producing real estate agent as opposed to someone who's just never had a real estate license. I don't know.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor to be here. And yes, I started in this industry in 1998. And left for a little while, and that's when I ventured into the marketing industry and was able to come back and combine those two things in 2019 and been hitting the ground running ever since.
All righty. Well, we are going to talk about top mistakes realtors make before, during, and after the transaction. We've got quite a few of them. So Todd, me, and Nick, we're going to take turns going down this list, kind of commenting back, and Todd, you'll start with number one. I'll do number two, and so forth. So, how do you like that?
Yeah, look at that.
I'm having so much fun.
Another one.
I'm having so much fun with Nick's Facebook
I'm glad that I
page.
flipped. I'm glad that I flipped the. No one can really see this screen. Where did you find that photo? What is that?
Oh boy!
Wait till next week's.
Oh my
They just keep
goodness.
coming.
Yeah.
All right.
Whole
Anyway.
new reason to listen
I got
to
to
the
kick you off
podcast.
my Facebook, my social media.
Yeah.
All righty.
Sorry, Leslie.
All right, Leslie. Let's start. Number one, being a secret agent. What does that mean for you?
Okay, so a lot of agents are afraid to reach out to family, friends, and say, I'm a realtor. Well, I'm brand new and I, don't necessarily know what I'm doing and I'm afraid and I don't want to get out there. And so what they end up doing is they just basically do nothing. And so now they're not putting it out there. They're not sending letters. They're not posting on social media. They're not contacting their friends, calling, texting, and reaching out to everybody because they're afraid that they're going to either make a mistake or not know what they're talking about. And most new agents have a very large variety of support behind them. And so what I tell them is you're not new. You have a very large support group behind you of agents who have been in this industry for a very long time who are there to help you. And that's where the West USA coaching program comes in as well. So if you're a newer agent and you're afraid to make that step to get out there to reach out to your sphere, then I recommend the coaching program, highly recommend. I actually went through it when I came back into real estate. I was gone for 7 years. I felt like I didn't know what I didn't know. Mm-hmm. The market had changed, or the industry had changed so much that I joined the coaching program. And that really helped me get to that next level and hit that ground running. So
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake, I thought that maybe the name of this should be the top mistakes successful realtors make, because it doesn't have to be entry level. This whole conversation today is really not about just a new agent. However, the new agent is the one who obviously is stigmatized in finding that next or the first buyer and seller and getting that ball rolling. And so it's real important from that perspective. But no matter what production range you're in, my team, when I had my team, we almost doubled our production in a year. And I'm talking about going like from $75,000 to $750,000 to 1.5 million in volume in that year, or 100 million, sorry. But the point that I'm trying to make here is I got a coach. And the fact was they taught me some things to focus on and some key production indicators. And without those, I was, really didn't know where I was at any one point in time. Yes. So I do believe in the coaching program, but this is our illustrious CEO's favorite topic. Don't be a secret agent. And Clint has always said over the decades that if you don't let people know, especially your family and closest to you, who are the people that are going to use you out of obligation? Your family. Practice on your family. They know you're new, right? Better than on the customer. But go do, get out there and do something. But you got to let people know you're a real estate agent.
Yeah, we call it paralysis by analysis.
Yep.
We
Yeah.
won't go do anything till we figure. You
we
don't
figure it
know.
all
You
out,
know,
yeah.
that's why I always tell my young agents, like, man, go out, just have real estate. That's why you do open houses. Have
Yes.
terrible real estate conversations. Have the worst
Yes.
conversations. Don't wait till you think you know it all.
Yes.
Number two, not putting in the time to work your business. I love this one.
Oh, I tell you, my favorite question that I ask realtors when I meet with them is I say, how much time do you put into your real estate business in a week? And I had an agent say, well, can you count that party that I went to? And I said, well, are you talking about real estate? And they said, I'll go, yeah, we'll count that. Okay. And at the end of the week, they had tallied about 8 to 10 hours for the week. And I say, this is, if you want this to be your full-time job and if you want to be successful, you're 6 to 8 hours a day on this business. And I say, if you don't know what to do in that 6 to 8 hours, call me. I can give you plenty of things to do to get your name out there. But you need to work your business. You have to put the time in. It's a get what you give industry.
Well, I think the biggest challenge for agents is understanding that you're the CEO of your own business. You are now an entrepreneur. It's just not doing business. It's running a business.
Yes.
And I find that the agents who come from a full-time life, full-time job, 40 hours a week, where they had a boss telling them when to show up, when to leave, when they
Correct.
can have potty breaks, and here is the structure. Those agents transitioning into full-time real estate they really struggle, and it's not necessarily, some are lazy. I'm just going to say some of you are lazy, but not everybody's lazy. They don't know what to do.
Correct.
And this is where I now would go back to, if I can require and make every new licensee do one thing, it would go back to hiring a coach or joining a team who can who can give you those parameters. This is what your day, your week, your month should look like.
Yes.
50% of something's better than 100% of nothing.
Yes.
So not taking time to prepare. Open houses, showing homes, listing appointments.
Yes. And again, this goes back to agents who decide they're going to do an open house on Friday evening and they grab their 3 signs and they head on out the door Saturday morning to do their open house from 10 to whatever, 12. That drives me bananas. So you have to spend, I have a mega open house list that I put together. And again, I even talk about listing appointments. When you're going on a listing appointment, I have a list of 20 action items to do before even going on a listing appointment. I have a list of everything to do a week before the open house. If you've got that time, even 3 to 4 days before the open house, where to market it, how many signs to install. I will even give agents a sign recommendation list that tells them where to put the signs for the maximum traffic. But you need to put the time into your business. I always use the analogy of if you had a pizza truck and you were going to go out on Saturday night and you were going to sell pizza, wouldn't you want to advertise that or go in a location where you're going to have good traffic? So finding the perfect open house, not just willy-nilly running one that's 17 turns off of a major intersection and then not preparing for that, not showcasing it, not advertising it.
It's funny, as in our industry, we consistently hear that open houses are one of the more successful ways to advertise your business and to help grow your sphere of influence. But there's not a lot of education on it because I don't know if it's a 3-hour sit-down class. It goes back to the earlier points. Having someone who's gone through it, giving you that fast-forward approach that let them educate and train you as a coach, a mentor, a team leader, it just provides you those resources. And if you are looking back at the last 90 days of your business and you A, haven't held any open houses, or B, feel like they're not been successful, you need to be reaching out to get these resources from Leslie and what she can do. And I think the other one that you've got, or the other two, showing homes and listing appointments, again, being intentional with your business. This is not just I'm going to go to this listing appointment, I'm going to go show some homes. Spend some hours building some knowledge base around the areas, around the type of home, the model, like all the stuff that we've talked about is important.
Yes.
Well, I would say, I think especially, well, for all of these, but especially for open houses, checklists are important.
Paramount.
And it keeps you, it it allows for more consistency. And so we do have Leslie's information up here. I would, she's got a list of over 20 action items for things to look into before a listing appointment, and she can give you some great pointers. And I'm sure she's got some checklists when it comes down to open houses. So definitely reach out to her and ask for that. I like this one too. Getting too emotional during the transaction, and if people are like, "Well, what does that mean?" Just go on the agent Facebook groups. You'll see
Emotions.
You'll see emotions.
Well, I'm going to give you my own personal example because I also feel like this is like the top 10 mistakes that Leslie made when she was a realtor. So, I can remember I was working with a buyer. I'm sorry, I was working with the seller, and the buyer's agent contacted me and said the buyers would like a $5,000 credit to go towards, roof, whatever was the issues. I don't remember. And I said, $5,000, and I just got so emotional. I'm going to try to negotiate for my sellers, and this is ridiculous, and I doubt they're going to do that. And I got very emotional with the agent. And so I hung up and I called the seller, and the seller said, "Yeah, that's fine, no problem." And I went, and that was really my light bulb moment of like, the only people that should be getting emotional during this transaction are the actual sellers and the actual buyers. We are just information transfer people. So if somebody wants something and it sounds ridiculous to you, you just say, "You know what? I will ask my client." And you ask the client and you let the client get emotional about it. Or they might say, "Okay, it's not a problem." And then everybody just moves forward. But I hear so many agents get emotional, angry and, frustrated. And it's like, you're just information people. We're just passing that along.
Yeah. If we focus on being and understanding the process and not focusing on trying to be the one who's controlling the transaction, then that's one way of removing your emotion from the transaction. And then come from a perspective of pro and con with everything. So in essence, what are the things that whatever's just happening to me right now, what are the good things about it? What are the bad things about it? How does it help my client? How does it hurt my client? Why do I feel that it hurts my client? But I'll tell you, a lot of times, even my wife will say, she'll call an agent on the other end of the phone, and that agent already has a preconceived notion of the way they want the deal to go. And the reality is, guess what? You're not the only one in control of the transaction. It's more your client and my client.
Right.
So you got to remove that from that rather than try to take, because that's usually what happens. People sound on the other end of the phone like they're the one that the world revolves around.
I think it's the secret to life. Just remove emotion.
Yeah.
Everything's a transaction. Everything you do with your kids is a transaction. Everything you do with your spouse is a transaction. Just remove emotion and have. All right. Communicating. Speaking of spouses, so communicating. Forget the reply button exists.
Well, actually, I had a great conversation with Todd the other day, and that was more of a side note for me. But communicating, and I know every agent that is listening right now will understand the point of pain of communicating with other agents and not replying to text messages, not replying to phone call messages, not replying to emails. And it is very frustrating. And we forget that we are in a professional industry, and you need to keep the lines of communication open. And so when I was having this conversation with Todd, he brought up that when agents are communicating back and forth, that sometimes they'll just either reply all or reply to a previous message or forward a previous message. And you could be divulging information that you did not want to disclose. So Todd gave, and that was something I didn't even know. So I'm glad he brought that up. But when you're communicating with other agents, always start a brand new email. Also, text is not really a good form of communication back and forth during a transaction. I know that is something that we just do back and forth. But I had a personal situation that I won't go into, but it had to do with information that the other agent was sharing with me via text. And because it was text and not email, it didn't count as actual information for that particular contract, that transaction. And that could have ended up making things go sideways for the client. So, yeah.
I know some of you are really busy, and you've got a lot of transactions, and good on you, and good for you. If you're having a hard time communicating and replying, then it might be time for some sort of assistant. Because at the end of the day, the way I look at it, and if I don't reply to your text in a very short period of time, then chances are I've got a bunch of texts at the same time and it got buried, and so I would just say text me again, because I'm pretty responsive on this. But we represent either a buyer or we represent a seller. This is their home that they're buying or they're selling. This is one of the most major financial decisions that a person can make. I used to say it was the biggest, but then I have a kid in college, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know which one's worse anymore. And so I owe it to my buyer or my seller to communicate. It doesn't matter whether I like the agent. It doesn't matter whether I've formed bad habits. You know, we hear this word fiduciary responsibility. I represent my buyer and I represent my seller, and you can miss something, and things can go bad because of lack of communication, and then it really can be an unfortunate situation for your buyer or seller. And then how would your buyer or your seller, if they could hop on your text messages pertaining to their transaction, what would they see, Leslie?
I know.
Yeah, that's also the thing about the fact is you hit the new compose button because you never want to, if you hit reply or reply all, other people could be getting information that you don't want that's attached to the thread. That's the point. So whenever you hit new compose every single time, even if it's replying to somebody that is same topic, just hit the new compose button.
All right, so the next one in the line of communication, poor communication during the transaction, not responding to emails, phone calls, and texts. It's kind of like the same thing, but now maybe we can kind of get into now the communication with our clients.
Yes. And so, yes, the 5 was communicating, which was forms of communication, and 6 is poor communication, and I did kind of marry those two. But yes, communicating with our clients as well. Now, some people say to me, I've had new agents say, well, do I text them? Do I call them? Do I email them? And I say, you have to ask them what is their form of communication. Yep. We all have our own form of communication that we prefer. And so talk to your clients, ask them.
I think for client communication, specifically setting that expectation with them of when you are available to respond and not be able to respond. If you've got sellers that are texting you at all hours of the nights and the weekends, and that's not something that you want to do in your business, I think it's perfectly acceptable to let them know, I will respond to text up to 8 p.m., 8:30 p.m., 9 p.m., whatever is best for you. I'm one of those that go to bed early, so if you text me after 9, I'm going to respond when I wake up at 4 a.m., so just setting an expectation for sure. And the one thing that I've seen a little bit popping up again is the frustration with the TC, and it's not my job to make sure your TC is in the loop. I don't understand that mentality. If you've got an individual whose sole focus is to help communication move forward on a transaction, if they're on the email, is that hard to hit reply all and include them when you're communicating back and forth? I've just never understood the frustration with that TC being included. They're sold. That's what they're there to do.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to jump in on this one real quick too, Leslie, because I think this is really important. Sometimes transactions go awry, and they become problematic. And my rule of thumb for my lender, my escrow officer, whomever it is, if we know that there's a problem with the transaction, do not let me go to bed without an update, because that makes me mad. Mm-hmm. And I have to follow that same advice to always, even if I don't have an update, I'm going to call my buyer or seller and say, hey, listen, I don't have an update, but I just don't want you to go to bed not hearing from me.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Not knowing the contract.
Oh, this one's going to hit a button for Todd. There is some very valuable information in that contract. And a lot of times, a lot of times we end up being reactive instead of proactive when it comes to the knowledge of the contract. GRI, and I always recommend this to my new agents, but even if you're not new, I highly, highly recommend the contract class for GRI. It's 2 6-hour days, and I promise you, you will leave there empowered. I did. I actually took the whole GRI course, and it is very eye-opening experience. Again, agents have a tendency to get emotional, and it feels like to me the more emotional they are, the less they understand the contract, because you don't have to get emotional when you can quote where they're wrong, and it is very empowering. So do yourself a favor and take the course. I think it's $100 through any platform. You can just go on to GRI. But yes, understand that contract front, back, sideways, and you will be happy you do.
Yeah, I think GRI should be the requirement for every single licensee in the state of Arizona, to be honest
I do
with you.
too.
Because it is just that much application friendly. It really changes who you are in the transaction because you now have a higher, greater skill. But to my favorite topics, contracts and knowing what they say and what the rules and the laws say is not because I want to turn you into an attorney or other things. It's how do you best represent your client? You best represent your client when you understand all the terms and conditions of the contract, and you can help them navigate through that process. You understand, it's better. It's a higher level of skill when you know when an issue arises, what that process is and what the contract says that process is. And I mean, let's just call it as simple as counting the number of days, some people have some difficulty with. But, this is my favorite topic, so I would be amiss if I didn't tell everybody now, that you should at least read every document before you ever hand it to a client.
Todd, I was going to make a joke on this one, and then I realized that probably I would think it was funny, and the brokers wouldn't
try
be.
it.
But then I started thinking that this is probably a serious.
It is a topic.
It's probably a serious issue. Like, are agents leveraging AI to help them interpret the contract in situations and scenarios?
Well, that's two-pronged. So the first prong is AI is a super tool. I don't care if you're using Grok or using, any one of them. But the biggest issue is once it tells you something, you can't just go do it.
Correct.
Because just as attorneys use these services for finding prior precedents or previous cases. And sometimes they find out that those cases are fabricated by AI. So, again, you need to really read it for yourself, then utilize AI as a tool. Mike, so that's a great point.
My point is I would never use AI to try to interpret a scenario.
Right.
In a transaction. That's why we got 4 amazing
Always
brokers.
call your broker, right.
But one of my favorite topics, Leslie, and people probably are so tired of hearing me talk about this, but not using a CRM. It's just all you're doing is leaving money on the table. That's all you're doing. You're telling me if you don't want to use the CRM, you're telling me you do not like money.
You're right.
And if you don't like money, I don't like you. No, I'm just kidding.
So they say the average buyer or seller, it takes 6 months before you actually close a transaction with them. When you meet a buyer at an open house, talk to a seller, it could be 6 months before they pull that trigger. A lot of times they're throwing the line out there. They're doing their research before they actually take the leap. And so if you do not have a CRM system, how are you going to reconnect with them? How are you going to remember to call them? I remember I did an open house. I had 18 people through that time. It was a very successful open house, but I had a lot of names and I didn't remember who was who.
Yeah.
And so I would just jot little notes, had a child, husband and wife, something like that I could remember. And then I wrote it in my CRM. And then when I called, I remember calling one time and the lady said, we're just getting ready to step out for my son's soccer appointment. Can you give me a call tomorrow? Great. I write that in the notes because now when I call tomorrow, how was your son's soccer game? So that also helps you to stay connected with your clients. It's like when you go to the doctor and they walk in and they go, oh, how are the kids? They've got notes in their chart about you as well so that they can reconnect.
That's a great point.
And so you need to be able to make them feel like they are important and what they're going on in their life, what they have going on in their life is important.
Your thoughts on this. I tell every brand new agent, if it were up to me, you would not be allowed to do one open house, not allowed to have one real estate conversation till you've learned how to use your CRM.
Yeah.
Because again, and we always say, we all remember our first time, right? We all remember our first time.
Yes.
So sell a house, and it was a lease purchase of all things. So they put $5,000 down or $10,000 down, whatever the case is. They didn't have to get a loan, anything like that, and I got paid great. And I didn't follow up with them. And then it was like 10 or 11 months later, I'm like, I wonder how they're doing. I call them. They're like, yeah, we're doing great. We just sold the house and we bought another house.
Oh no.
And it is one of the most painful feelings as a real estate agent. And when you have that, and you have that first experience, you swear, I'm not going to let that happen again. And
Right.
that's where the CRM comes into it. But the next one, kind of in the same lines, but not following up with leads.
Yes. And again, you're right. That has to do with the CRM. But also, I'm going to go a little further with that. I did an open house one time. I had this couple come through, and I said, "What is your time frame?" And they said, soon. We need to buy something soon. And I said, "Okay, great. I'm going to set you up on a search." I believe this was on a Saturday. I set them up on a search through the MLS. Started sending them homes. Sunday, again, sending them homes. Didn't hear back. Monday, I called, and they said, "We bought a house yesterday." And so
We've all had that.
when they said they were ready to go, they were ready to go.
Yep.
And so when
But that always goes back to asking qualified questions. So what do you mean by soon?
right, tomorrow, today, but it's that follow up. And so one of the things that I teach in my mega open house list is that when you're doing an open house, you need to follow up with them as soon as your open house is over, or if not, as they're walking out the door, contacting, texting, sending some sort of information.
Nick, I'm going to let you talk, but I just want to interject this. A CRM originated in the lending industry as a top of mind tool to keep the loan originators in the consumer's mind, and they would drip them little things continuously, so it would keep them in their mind. But rarely is a CRM the tool that's going to close a deal for you. You're going to have to do what's called prospecting, which is communicating with somebody or putting your hand in theirs and shaking their hand, meaning you have to be together.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, so I wanted to just hit home, and then we can move to the next one because we're getting close. But the following up is picking up the phone and having the conversation. It's not the drip, the email, the text. It's connecting, human-to-human conversation, leaving a voicemail, wanting to speak to that person. Because we don't do that a lot, and if we do, it's a little more powerful than the other thing of just, hey, here's a quick text. I can ignore that and move on past my day.
Yeah, and we shared earlier, Leslie, about if you don't know what to do during the day, this is what you do. Just call, follow up, have conversations with people. That's it.
Yes, and I do have an accountability calendar that I've been doing for the last 4 years, and it gives you something to do every single day.
All right. Another reason to reach out to Leslie. Her information is on the screen, and then we're going to wrap up. Not staying connected to past clients. This is my pet peeve, not my pet peeve, because you're going to ask what our pet peeves are, and I got other
If
pet
we have
peeves.
time,
If we
yes.
get, no, we're going to have time.
Okay.
We're going to make sure that happens because Todd's going to be really quick on this. This is where all the money is left on the table.
Yes.
I call it the after the close. You should have an ATC system
Yes, and what does your ATC stand for?
after the close.
Oh, okay. All right. So, yes. So they say you should be doing 36 touches per year with your client. That's 12 real estate related, 12 non-real estate related, and 12 holiday. And I do have set it and forget it programs that you can plug your clients in for birthdays, anniversaries. And I do have other tips and tricks and ideas of things to send throughout the year. One of the best ways to stay connected is to always add them to your social media. That's a great start because that's going to help you with those 36 touches.
And the personalization on it, too.
Yes.
People buy from people that they not only trust. That's the number one thing you have to build is trust. But they buy from people that they like. And so like is sometimes something I think we forget. CRMs are great. Find somebody's hobbies or interests. You can plug it in there, and all of a sudden it's now sending them some special things about maybe they like kayak fishing or camping or whatever. But I think in the end, everybody thinks that, I don't have to stay in touch with that client because they're not going to buy for another 6 years. But Mike, you've proven it with your team. You've proven it that if you have that conversation almost immediately thereafter about, investing in real estate or, things of that nature, that you get extra business, or they come to the realization that their son or daughter or best friend is interested.
All right. Well, Leslie, I'm interested in seeing your list because mine is 23 touches per year. So I'm.
Okay.
But that's after the 8x8, right? Don't you go after and have it 8 don't you talk to them like 8 times in 8
Well,
weeks? That was
that's
that first part, that cadence thing. you know?
Yeah, well, I'm talking about past clients. So our system is 23 touches programmed into our CRM. Is really was
And
the
that's-
game changer for us.
That's still better than what most agents are doing.
Gosh, yeah.
All right, so we could do an entire hour on pet peeves, and so you have a bonus question for us.
Yes.
I love this because this is therapy for me.
Yes. Me too, actually.
All right, so what do you want to know?
Okay, so I want to hear, what is your pet peeve that agents are doing? We'll start with Nick,
Oh, okay.
or if you have one.
Agents are focusing on being busy and not focusing on what is helping their business. And I think that's one of my biggest pet peeves. When you ask an agent, what are they doing? Well, I'm really busy. What does that mean? When they give you the list, or when they actually take a step back to assess what their day and their week and their month is filled of, it's filled with, as Mike likes to call, red time, not stuff that's going to help them make money.
Yep.
Todd?
Mine is that all that agents want to complain about the business and how little transactions or production that they have, but yet they don't do anything about it every single day to try to change it. And so from my perspective is you look in the mirror, you're not in competition with absolutely any other realtor out there other than the person you're looking at in the mirror. Find out you so that you can do you really well, really quick.
All right, I let these two guys go first because I got 2, Leslie.
Okay.
All right, first one, and they both involve the phone. You need to understand when you leave me a message that you might talk fast. So slow down, and when you leave me a message and you leave your phone number twice, because chances are I didn't get the entire phone number the first time you say it, or there might be a bad connection. So whenever I leave a message, I say, hey, Mike, this is Mike, da-da-da-da. Give me a call back, and I give my phone number twice, always twice, and I slow it down a little bit because I know I like to talk fast. And then the other one is sometimes when you call me regarding one of my listings, I might be in the bathroom, and I cannot pick up the phone. So don't go on the agent Facebook groups and start complaining about agents who don't answer their phones. Sometimes I just can't answer the phone, Leslie.
I hear you.
The bad agent is only the one that doesn't call the people right back.
Okay.
So my pet peeve is please stop answering the phone. Hello. It drives me bananas. We are a professional industry. When I started, and in 1998, I worked for John Hall and Associates.
Wow.
And so that's going back. And we were required to answer the phone. John Hall and Associates, this is Leslie. How can I help you? We were required to do that. So once I've had an agent answer the phone stating the name of the brokerage and their name. Now, you don't necessarily have to go to that extent, but even just saying, hello, this is Leslie. How can I help you?
Right.
The hello drives me bananas.
All right. Fair enough. It's interesting because I wouldn't, because back then you guys weren't walking around with cell phones. Cell phones are a little more personal. And I understand if I've got a office number, hey, West USA, this is Mike, how can I help you? I wouldn't necessarily, I don't think I'd do that on my cell phone, but I do say, hey, this is Mike, how can I help you? Or something like that. So,
Yeah.
all right, I love it.
All right. Thank you so much for
Good
having
stuff,
me. This was
Leslie.
great.
I've got so many ideas to have you come back on. I
would love that.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna talk, but we leave. And if you want that picture of the Nick Wiedekamp real estate, my email is mikew@westusa.com. I'll be happy to send that to you. Appreciate everybody joining us today. We'll leave you with the quote of the day. You either suffer the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Appreciate everybody joining us. Go out and sell a home.